everyone, welcome to the Jayda InStitches show and welcome back to the 2023 Fair Isle Style Calendar Blanket. It's November, which means it's time for the 11th and second last installation for this year, and we felt it was high time we added an animal to this year's blanket. Birds, sheep, and other little animals do tend to figure prominently in traditional Fair Isle style knitting charts, and we felt it was very appropriate that we add a fluffy, cozy sheep for the month of November. This little guy is a pure mirror image chart. So no matter which way you come at the chart, left-handed or right-handed, it's always the same no matter what row you're on. So you don't have to worry as much about left-handed or right-handed chart following this month. That said, you can choose any color you want for your sheep, and I do have a little sheepy surprise for you once we get into the tutorial. I also wanted to take a moment and just introduce you to one of our new Fair Isle Style Plus patterns. We've added this juicy apple graph to our Etsy shop for the month of November. We've got a couple more coming out this month, and we'll have a few more plus patterns next month too, and we've got several of them in the graphs section of our Etsy shop. So if you want to pop over and check out all the different plus designs we've got for this year's blanket, they're all designed to work seamlessly in with all the other main designs we've done. So if you're looking for other ways to sort of uniquely customize your blanket, or maybe there's just certain little pattern images that you think you'd like to add to this year's blanket, or if you want to try some of these graphs in projects on your own, please feel free to pop into our Etsy shop. We'll put the link in our description box down below and in the pinned comment. So let's grab our blankets, we'll grab our hooks, we'll grab our yarn, we'll head on over to the craft table, and we will stitch up some Fair Isle style sheep together. For our November strip, you're going to want to continue using the same hook and yarn you've used all along. I'm using a size 4 medium weight acrylic yarn. I'm going to need about 120 yards of my color A, which is my background color, or white, and around 48 yards of color B, which is going to be my sheep. And that works out to about 8 yards or so per spool. More if you have loose tension. A pair of scissors, a yarn needle, and a 5.5 millimeter, also known as an I or a 9, plus your blanket. That's all you need, and once you've got all that together, we can get started. As always, I highly recommend making yourself a sampler. This gets you comfortable with the pattern, it lets you play around with color, and it's a good way to check your tension. I've used a dark gray as the outlining color for my sheep this month, but I also thought it might be kind of fun to play around with that and see what a black sheep looks like. So if you wanted to give this one a try, you're basically just filling everything on the inside of the circle in with the dark color, and you're reversing the head. So here, this is the pattern we're doing today. The head is done in dark and the eyes are in white, but if you were to reverse it, the head is in white and the eyes are in dark. I've made up unique graphs for both of these sheep, and they're both included in this month's pattern. So the written pattern does include both of these graphs, but I am making white sheep today for our blanket, and that is the graph we'll be working with. Let's take a look at today's graph. As always, there will be a smaller one up here in the top right corner that you can follow along with if you're moving faster or slower than the rest of us during today's tutorial. Remember, you can pause the video at any time. I will give you the right-handed and left-handed directions, or basically what side of the graph you'd be starting on, but because we're dealing with a mirror image shape, it doesn't really matter which side you start on. If you get confused, it'll still end up looking exactly the same way. At the end of last month, I put a pin in my working loop so that it wouldn't unravel on me, so I'm going to take that out and put it aside. I've got one more month to use it with. Hook in, chain 2 to begin the row. Let's take a quick look at the graph. As always, our graph begins with an entire row of color A, that's row 1. Right-handed, you'd be over here. Left-handed, you'd be over here, but it doesn't matter what direction you come at this. Every single stitch is color A. So all you have to do is double crochet in every single stitch across. Remember, the chain 2 does count as a double crochet, so you are always skipping the first stitch, this little guy right here, because it's being used by these two. So always start your row in the second stitch, double crochet in each stitch all the way across, and I'll catch up with you for row 2. That's the end of row 1. A double crochet in every single stitch all the way across, and every single stitch is an A. We're going to chain 2 and turn our work And let's take a look at the chart. All right, right-handed you're over here, left-handed you're over here. It's the same either way you go though. It is A for 7, B for 1, A for 4, B for 1, A for 7, repeat. A for 7, B for 1, A for 4, B for 1, A for 7, repeat. So we're engaging our spools here on row 2, but they're only going to get used for 2 simple little stitches. So I'm just going to get my spool ready. I'm going to get a little slip knot going here I can put on my hook when it's ready. And here we go. That chain 2 counts as the first double crochet. I'm going to crochet, double crochet into the next 6. I'm going to start that 7th double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I start the 7th double crochet. Remember, chain 2 counts, but I don't finish it. This is where I engage my spool. There we go. I'm going to work over top of my A. I'm going to double crochet, but I'm not going to complete that double crochet because I'm only using 1 stitch. I'm going to switch back to A. I'm going to carry B now. So there's that first little tail, or first little stitch. That's leg number 1. I'm going to work 4 double crochets in A, carrying B. That first stitch when you engage the spool for the first time is always a little bit, just takes a little bit of more time than the other ones do. Start the 4th stitch with A, do not complete it. I'm going to pull gently on B just to make sure that I don't have any of it bunching up underneath my stitches. I'm going to finish that stitch with B, switch back, working over top of A. I work the first half of that 2nd stitch in B, and then I finish it with A. Now, I joined my spool on the back of my blanket, so I finished that stitch and the spool on the back of the blanket. This will switch to the front for the next row. I am dropping color B. I no longer need it, so I'm going to just wind it up here, and then it's 7A. I'm not carrying B. I don't have to because B just ends after the 2nd use in this 2nd row of the graph. And then it's 7 double crochet in A to finish row 2 of the graph. And of course you're going to repeat this all the way across. That's 6, 1 more. Okay, let's take a look at what we got so far. 7A, 1B, engaging the spool for the first time. 4A, 1B, dropping spool, no longer need it for this repeat of the graph. 7A, and then you're going to repeat. So by the end of row 2, you'll have engaged all 6 of your spools, or however many spools you need for the number of repeats you're doing across your blanket. And that'll be row 2 all wrapped up. That is the end of row 2. So our little pattern was 7 in A, 1 in B, 4 in A, 1 in B, 7 in A to finish. Don't forget the last stitch of every row is worked into the top of the chain 2 from the previous row. Chain 2 to begin row 3. We're going to turn our blankets now, and all of your spools are engaged and should be moving with your blanket. So now all of my spools are going to be facing forward. Let's take a look at the grid. Row 3, right-handed, you're over here, left-handed, you're over here, but it's mirror image, so no worries whether you come at it from one direction or the other. We start with 6 in A, 8B, 6A, repeat. 6A, 8B, 6A, repeat. Nice and simple. That first chain 2 counts as a double crochet. We're going to work 5 more double crochets in A to begin that row before our first color change. when you start that stitch just before the color change, work the first half. I'm going to unclip my spool, get my A color out of the way, and of course there's going to be a little bit of a reach here. So make sure that you work your first couple of stitches over top of that reach of the B color, and I'm also carrying A. I'm going to work 8 double crochets now in B while I carry A. I get to the 8th stitch in B, I work the first half of it. I'm going to make sure I bring my spool back to the front where it started. I'm going to tug on my A just a little bit, finish off that stitch, and then it's 6 more in A to complete the graph repeat. And before I continue with the next repeat, I always just sort of pause, count it up, make sure that I've got 6A, 8B, 6A, and then I take a moment to just wind up my little spool so it doesn't want to bounce around on me. There we go. And now I'm going to continue on with the next one. I'll see you at the end of row 3. That's the end of row 3, so we've got the bottom of our sheep firmly established now. We're going to chain 2, turn, make sure all of your spools are moving as a single body to the other side of your blanket. So mine are all moving to the back now. And here we go. Row 4, right-handed, you're over here, left-handed, you're over here. We work 4A, 3B, 6A, 3B, 4A, repeat. 4A, 3B, 6A, 3B, 4A, repeat. And here we go. I'm going to double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches with A. I'm going to start what would be the 4th stitch here, and I'm not going to finish it, so there's my first 4, starting the first of that 4th stitch, and I'm going to grab my B spool. I'm going to have a little bit of a reach. So a little bit of a reach. I want to make sure I work over top of that. I'm carrying A as I work those next 3 double crochet in B. Work the first half of that 3rd stitch, switched back to A. I'm going to work 6 in A now, carrying B, because I'm not done with B yet. I start that 6th stitch. I'm going to just pull B to make sure it's not riding up anywhere. Finish that 6th stitch with B. I'm carrying A. I work 3 double crochet with B. I start that 3rd stitch with B, and I'm going to make sure I don't tangle up my threads here. That's it. I don't need B anymore, so I'm going to drop B completely. Finish that stitch with A, and then it's 4 in A to complete the graph. Okay, 4A, 3B, 6A, 3B, 4A, repeat. I'm going to just roll up the rest of my spool now and continue on with the rest of row 4. That's the end of row 4. We're going to chain 2 now, turn our work, and all of my spools are now facing me again. here we go for row 5. Right-handed, you're over here. Left-handed, you're over here. 3A, 2B, 3A, 4B, 3A, 2B, 3A, repeat. So that one more time. 3A, 2B, 3A, 4B, 3A, 2B, 3A, repeat. And it looks like this. So the first chain 2 counts as a double crochet. I'm going to start the third double crochet with A, unhook my spool, finish that stitch with B, and I've got a little reach, so I got to work over top of it. And it's 2 double crochet with B, I'm carrying A, I switch back to A. Now it's 3A carrying B. Switch back to B. Four in B. Switch back to A. Three in A. I'm going to switch back to B. Two in A. Switching back to A. I should say that was 2 in B, switching back to A, and now I'm dropping B, and it's 3 in A to complete the graph. Alright, so here we are. 3 in A, 2 in B, 3 in A, 4 in B, 3 in A, 2 in B, 3 in A, repeat. And we're starting the little bottom of our sheep's face. I'm going to take a second to roll up my spool, and I'm going to continue on with row 5. That's row 5 complete. We end with 3 double crochet in A. The last one is worked into the top of the chain 2. We're going to chain 2 and turn, and all of our spools move. All of mine are now back on the far side of my blanket. Let's take a look at the graph. We're on row 6, the halfway mark. Right-handed, left-handed, 2A to begin, 2B, 3A, 1B, 1A, 2B, 1A, 1B, 3A, 2B, 2A, repeat. So basically we're starting with his little face. 2A, 2B, that's the side of his body. 3A, we're in the inside, and then his little face. In quick succession, BA, BB, AB. So those are his eyes. And then 3A, 2B, 2A, and a repeat. There we go. Right away we're into a color change, so you work the first half of that second stitch. You're going to have a little bit of a reach, so remember you're always looking for those opportunities to work over top of a reach. We're going to work 2B and switch back to A. Remember you're always carrying the color you don't need while you're working along the inside of the graph. So 3 in A, I'm going to switch back to B, and now the face, quick succession. We go 1 for B, 1 for A, 2 for B, one for A, one for B, and that's the little inside of the face, B, A, B, B, A, B. We're going to do 3 in A, two B, and that is it for B for this part of the graph. So I'm going to drop the B spool, and then we finish with 2 in A. So there you go, 2A, 2B, 3A, and then the face, B, A, B, B, A, B, 3A, 2B, 2A, and repeat. I'm going to roll up my spool and continue on with row 6. That's row 6 complete, and the bottom half of our sheep. We're going to chain 2, turn our blankets, and now make sure your spools are all moved. Row 7, right-handed, you're over here. Left-handed, you're over here. We're going to start with 2 in A, 2 in B, 1 in A, and then 10 in B, 1 in A, 2 in B, 2 in A, repeat. So once again, 2A, 2B, 1A, 10B, 1A, 2B, 2A, repeat. And that's the ears and the top of the head of our little sheep. Once again, we are almost immediately into a color change right off the bat. So we work the first half of that second stitch of the row. We've got a little bit of a carry, so make sure that you're kind of getting underneath that little bit of B. We go 2B, make sure I'm not, there we go. We're going to switch back to A just for one stitch, and then back to B to finish that stitch, so it goes 2A, 2B, 1A, and then we do 10 double crochet in B, carrying A the whole way. There we go. So that's 10B. Make sure that I'm not twisting my yarns here. I'm going to pull on my A a little bit, switch back to A for one double crochet, and then immediately back to B, and then I work 2B, and that is it for that B spool. Switch back to A, and then we finish the graph repeat with 2 double crochet in A. So 2A, 2B, 1A, 10B, that's the top of the head of our little sheep, 1A, 2B, 2A, and repeat. That is the end of row 7, so the entire head of our sheep is now complete. We're going to fill in the rest of the body now, and we're on the home stretch. So let's chain 2 and turn. We're on to row 8. Right-handed, you're here. Left-handed, you're here. We start with 3A, and then 2B, 10A, 2B, 3A, repeat. Once again, 3A, 2B, 10A, 2B, 3A, repeat. Nice and simple. So I've already got one of my first 2 double crochets because of the chain 2. I'll get my spool ready. Start that second stitch. And now, because I'm closing in the shape of our sheep, I want to bring up that B color, get my hook under it because I'm going to carry that B color just for a stitch, but I need it to show up where I want it. So I've worked that third stitch over top of the B color. I've picked it up and I've carried it. So now I can transition to B for 2. Switch back to A, and now I'm carrying B as I work 10A. That's the 10th stitch. So I'm just going to pull on that B a little bit. There we go. Switch to B for 2. And then that's it for B for this graph repeat. So I'm going to finish with 3A, and then I will roll up my spool. Okay. 3A, 2B, 10A, 2B, 3A, repeat. All the way across, and I'll see you at the end of the row. That's row 8 complete. We're going to chain 2, turn. We've got 2 more rows with color change left in them. Okay, back to the graph. Row 9, we begin right over here, left over here, 4A, 3B, 6A, 3B, 4A, repeat. It's an exact replica of row 4. So row 9 is exactly the same as row 4. 4A, 3B, 6A, 3B, 4A, repeat. Or you can look down at row 4 just to make sure that you're doing it exactly the same way. Remember, there's going to be a little bit of a carry. Just make sure you get in underneath your B color, just so it's where you want it for that first color change. I'll leave you guys to work away at that, and I'll catch up with you at the end of the row. That's the end of row 9. We've got one more row now of color change left for row 10. Chain 2, turn. And let's take a look at the graph. Row 10, right-handed, left-handed. Row 10 is an exact repeat of row 3. So we begin with 6A, switch to B for 8, and then back to A for 6. So 6A, 8B, 6A, repeat. Row 10, an exact replica of row 3. It's the last color change row we've got. And then row 11 is very familiar. It's just straight A double crochet. I'm going to make sure that I'm carrying my B as I get to it. So I'm grabbing bee and I'm working over top of it. Before I switch. Carrying A under B, and so on. 8 and B, back to A for 6, and that's it for our spools. And we're closing in the top of our sheep. I'll see you at the end of the row. So that's our little sheep complete. We have one more row left in the graph. We're going to chain 2, turn our work. Remember, you can weave in all your tails afterwards. Back to the graph. That's the whole color section done. We're done with our spools. We have one more row left. It's just straight double crochet using color A. So you can double crochet with A in each stitch all the way across, just like row 1, and I'll see you at the end. And that is row 11 complete. It is just straight double crochet all the way across. I've got 120 stitches in each row still. I'm going to put my little safety pin back in, and that is it for November. Remember, you want to take a moment to weave in all of your little tails. And take some time maybe to name your new flock of sheep. And that is the Fair Isle style sheep. Boy, this blanket is getting big and heavy. I've had to fold it in half now for the last couple of months just to sort of show you the newest installation. And it's going to be a lot taller than me, so nice big long cozy blanket. I'll certainly be able to cuddle with this on the couch if I'm so inclined. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed making the Fair Isle style sheep along with us this month, and be sure to send us updated photographs of your Fair Isle style blankets and other projects at our Etsy shop. Again, we'll link to our shop in the description box down below, and especially if you're going to try the black sheep, I'd like to see that too. I have a feeling some of you are probably going to alternate them, or maybe just do one little black sheep. We had to have a little black sheep option, so like we said, the graph is included in the written pattern that you'll find in our Etsy shop if you wanted to try your hand at a black sheep too. Anyway, we will see you soon here on the Jayda InStitches show. Until then, stay safe, stay crafty, stay cozy, and have a great week. Bye guys!
Hi everybody, Mr. InStitches here. Thank you for watching today. Here are some of our other videos you might be interested in. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.